Real quick before the video, guys, we are going live tonight at 10 p.m. to talk about this games and every other big game coming up this week. We got some betting lines. If you're into that, make sure you check us out tonight at 10 p.m. Thank you. Coming off of a very much needed bye week, the Tennessee Vols are hosting Texas A&M after their frustrating loss to Alabama. This is a big game for Tennessee. We have not played Texas A&M in a couple of years. I think since 2016 when we had Alvin Kamara and Josh Dobbs in them. This is going to be a very telling game for Tennessee's future. Tennessee is going into a tough stretch of games where we have Georgia, Missouri, Kentucky, and Alabama after this, and this is going to let us know how this stretch goes. Of course, Texas A&M running with quarterback Max Johnson, who if you're a follower of the channel, you know Drew and I are very high on. I think he could be an NFL talent. He, has a great arm, great decision maker with the football, and honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. That's the biggest worry for me is Max Johnson's ability to throw the football with Tennessee's defense running man coverage 80% of the time, double what the second team most ran man coverage team in the country runs. So we live and die by the man. Our pressure this year that we've been able to send with our front seven, we have a deep defensive line, starting with Namarian Lott and a couple other guys, Eric Beasley at linebacker. So the pressure has been successful for Tennessee. We have the most sacks out of any team in the SEC. I think that's going to be our biggest chance to get Max Johnson uncomfortable. If you watch the Texas A&M and Alabama game, you saw that Alabama was successfully able to send pressure to Max Johnson and keep him just uncomfortable enough where he couldn't set his feet and make the big accurate throws deep down the field that he's been making so far this season. So, Drew, with all that out the way, you saw this Texas A&M Alabama game. We both thought Texas A&M was going to win. Honestly, a crucial game for Texas A&M's program, in our opinion. What are your thoughts on Texas A&M so far this season?
Yeah, well, let's not get it wrong here. Texas A&M, don't look at the stats. They do have a very talented defense and a really good defense. First and foremost, they did a really good job stopping the run that Alabama had. Let's give Alabama a lot of credit, especially Jalen Milroe. He did play a pretty good game. We can clearly see that if you want to score points on Texas A&M, you're going to have to find a quarterback that can make throws in tight windows, and that's just no secret. Tennessee is a really good running football team, though, and I expect Tennessee to be able to run the ball in this game. But there are going to be times where Joe Milton's going to have to make those throws. And we say it in almost every big game that Tennessee plays, Joe Milton's going to have to show up. He's going to have to show up in this one. And I think Tennessee has the receivers and the weapons on the outside where they can attack Texas A&M secondary a little bit. One of the biggest things for me about Texas A&M, though, is their improvement on offense. I know that they didn't put up a lot of points last week against Alabama. There were a lot of times where I think Texas A&M kind of shot themselves in the foot. There was a couple times where they got in the red zone, had to kick field goals. That hurt them. A couple turnovers, a safety, that hurt them. Texas A&M and Max Johnson, it's a completely different team than what you saw last year. This isn't the same 5-7 Texas A&M team that you saw in the previous year. This is a team I still think they have a lot to play for. They're motivated. And playing Alabama, you don't know what kind of team you're going to get, though. That's my biggest question mark for them. I don't know how Jimbo Fisher is in terms of rallying his guys after a loss like that, especially in years past where it seems like teams are shut down. But I think there's a different feel to this Texas A&M team. And you're going to see glimpses of that defense, I think, really show up in this Tennessee game.
Yeah, you mentioned the run defense for Texas A&M. That's the number one thing that stood out to me watching film on Texas A&M is that their front seven is solid. You mentioned it. Our run game is one of the best run games in the SEC right now. We have 3 running backs that get legitimate carries. Jabari Small, Jalen Wright, the best running back in the SEC statistically in a lot of areas, and also one of our younger guys, Sampson. So we have a staple of running backs. At the beginning of the season, our O-line was injured. We got Cooper Mays back coming off of a bye week. A lot of injured and banged up guys are going to be healthy. And you hit the nail on the head. We are going to need Joe Milton. Jalen Milroe, and all the criticism he's been gotten being the Alabama quarterback, was able to make the deep throws needed to capitalize on that Texas A&M team. We saw multiple times that secondary for Texas A&M was not in the positions that they needed to be, and Jalen Milroe and Jermaine Burton were able to capitalize on that. Joe Milton is going to have to be accurate with the football, guys. Against South Carolina, he played a lot better. With that being said, it's all quick game stuff. Go back and watch that game. We have abandoned the screen game, and we have pretty much abandoned the shot plays. Now, we will still take them, but this is not the Tennessee offense with Hendon Hooker. And as far as the screen game goes, we cannot run screens because defenses are not concerned with the deep ball over top. So they can bring that safety down to stop the screen game, and it basically nullifies it. with that being said, of course, we've had to lean on the run game more. And, you're seeing the success of our offense through that. But I think we are going to have to score on almost every single possession to beat this Texas A&M team with how our defense is in the passing game. It really worries me, watching Max Johnson be able to sling the ball around and how our defense has been playing, specifically number 5, Haddon, one of our corners, man. He ticks me off, dude. And when he does his job, he acts like he's Deion Sanders in the 90s. Like, come on, man. I'm just hoping that Haddon does not get cooked in this Texas A&M game, or my TV might have a remote control through it. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into my prediction. You see this background behind me. When we beat Alabama for the biggest win in our program's history since I've been alive, you know who I'm going with. Josh Heupel off a bye week. Bazooka Joe is going to be ready to make big plays. Texas A&M is not going to be ready. Tennessee by 100 points.
Well, obviously, I'm no Tennessee fan. Obviously, I'm not going to share that same enthusiasm, but I do like the pick. I do like Tennessee in this one, and I do think Tennessee covers the 3.5-point spread. Neyland Stadium is a tough place to play. Texas A&M coming off a loss like that. Sometimes teams like Alabama can beat teams twice. We've seen that in years past. Although I do think Texas A&M and Max Johnson are really good, I do expect Max Johnson to maybe be a little rattled in this game, especially early on with the crowd noise. Maybe some turnovers could come into play too. If that's the case, I think that's just going to benefit Tennessee even more for obvious reasons. Neyland Stadium, it's very momentum based there. If Neyland Stadium gets going, the team's going to feed off that energy. And I think that's going to be kind of similar to what happens in this game as well. So with all that being said, I like Tennessee to cover. I think the running game is going to do a good job. I know Texas A&M has been good at stopping the run, but this is a different kind of running offense that they're going to go up against. And Tennessee really hasn't been stopped, the run yet. And I don't think it starts here. So give me Tennessee in 3.5 points.
That's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure that you like and comment what you think. The likes go a long way, and so do the comments. Subscribe if you're interested in the content. We've got a bunch of videos and shorts we've been putting out, so check out some of those if you like this video. And we love to engage with the people watching. So if you have an opinion, let us know, positive or negative. We will respond. We appreciate all the support, and we'll see you in the next one.